Today we are going to talk about, we're going to answer the question, why do I feel stupid all the time and how we can change it. Okay. So, the reason that this is getting brought up is because it is something that I have personally struggled with and grappled with. And um, being in a middle school on a day to day basis, or just an education in general, I hear this term thrown around so much of I'm not smart, I'm dumb, that was stupid, all of those things. And as an adult, I catch myself saying these type of things. And so um, I know that I'm not alone. And if I needed to hear this, then you might need to hear this also. Right? So if you're watching live, feel free to pop over and say hi in the comments or anything like that. Um, it's always nice when I know that it doesn't feel like I'm talking to myself, right? So, okay. So, why is it that we feel stupid all the time? Let's just dig in deeper to that first. Okay. I mean, the reasons are there, right? Um, and for me, this shows up in a couple of different ways. Um, One, if I'm doing something new or something that I know is not my strength. For example, going to like do anything with cars, right? I go to take my car into the mechanic, get an oil change, anything like that, right? Um, all of a sudden, my mean girl voice comes out and it's like, you're stupid, you're dumb, you look like an idiot, right? In front of this person, you don't know what you're talking about. Um, and so it makes it very anxious to go do those things, right? Like I get clammy and uncomfortable and I'm like, I hate doing them. And then I procrastinate, right? The second one comes up when, like, basically when I make a mistake or I forget to do something, right? Or I just, am kind of on autopilot. And so I didn't necessarily think something through. Okay. So that might be the case for you as well, right? Um, and again, my inner thoughts come up and they are like, why did you do that? You're so stupid. Well, that was dumb, right? And I hear this also in the middle school, right? Kids make a mistake and it's like, oh, I'm so dumb. I'm just so stupid. I'm not good at math. I'm not good at reading, right? So you're not alone. Like we've all been there, right? Those are just a few examples. And why that is because I think, at least in the society of the US, we put a lot of emphasis on finished product, right? Like the end results. And there's a couple of things that we forget about end results is one, most things in life, if not everything, is a learned skill. You have to learn it first, right? And we forget that because our brains are amazing. And as we practice things and we do things and we learn things over and over, it goes into muscle memory, right? And we can just do it. And so we forget that at some point we had to learn that, right? And so when we make mistakes or when we forget things, we automatically just are like, oh, I'm so stupid, right? Like that just, even though we don't always necessarily believe it, we tell ourselves that. And eventually we do start to believe it, right? Um, so you have to be aware of what you're saying to yourself, right? If your kids forgot something or made a mistake, would you look at them and say, you're so dumb? You're such an idiot? No, he would be like, "Oh, it's okay. We all make mistakes. We all forget things sometimes, right? We all spill things sometimes. It's fine." But yet, for some reason, with ourselves, we say these things, right? And that perpetuates it. So that's one of the steps on how to change it. Just FYI. I was going to talk about that later, but is you have to be aware of what you're saying to yourself and you have to change your thinking, right? So, like, knowing that things are a learned skill, right? When I now I tell myself when I go to the mechanic, like, it's okay if I don't know what I'm talking about. I didn't learn this, right? Or I know a little, but I don't have the expertise that they have, and that's okay. I also know that if I wanted to, I could find the resources I needed to learn about it, right? So my resources are there and available. I just choose that's not an interest of mine, right? And so it's okay. It's okay to not know everything, right? So why do I feel stupid all the time? Because we put pressure on end results. We compare, we forget that things are a learned skill. Okay, so how do we change that? We have to remind ourselves that things are a learned skill. Okay. We also have to be mindful of how we talk to ourselves, right? You're not dumb. You just have a lot on your mind. And when we get when we have a lot on our mind, when we're stressed, when we're overwhelmed, we get scatterbrained and we forget, right? I'm not stupid. I was just on autopilot and I need to pay more attention. Mm. I'm not dumb. I just haven't learned this yet. Mm. And then, um, let's see. And then we focus on end results and talent, right? Like, and again, that goes back to the reminder of things are a learned skill. We see all of these things happening at the end result, right? And a lot of times we don't see the behind the scenes, right? We see athletes come out and like win games and are fantastic, and it talks about all of these natural talents they have, right? And sports might be sports are a natural strong suit, but that doesn't mean they're not a learned skill, right? And we forget that it takes discipline and motivation and like courage to come out over and over and over again, right? And those are the things that we need to shift in our society, right? Like celebrating the learning process versus celebrating the end goal or result. Okay. So, if you're feeling stupid all the time, know that you're definitely not alone in that. And you can change that by reminding yourself that things are a learned skill, right? Walking, talking, reading are learned skills. Okay. The job you're working at is a learned skill. Okay. And be mindful of the way you talk to yourself. Ask yourself, is this how I would talk to my kids if they made this same mistake? Right? Um, Usually and hopefully the answer is no, right? Like if our kids forget or make a mistake or, spill something or do something, we're not going to tell them they're stupid, right? We're going to say, this is a learned skill. This takes practice. We all make mistakes. We all forget things sometimes. It's okay. And you need to be kind to yourself and say those same things so that you know that you're not stupid, right? We're not, you're not stupid. Right? So we need to stop telling ourselves and perpetuating that cycle. All right. You guys have the best